So rook pawn versus knight. So how this is actually a draw, but you need to play in an order and in a pattern. So there are two moves that draw this game. In this position, the king is here. This knight to here and knight to here. But these three squares are the most important squares because the king and knight draws here because he gives a check, and he eventually reaches here, because if he goes here then he can just wait, because if he tries to do this you can just fork him. And so that's why knight to c4 is also a draw, but generally uh, more it's more natural to play knight to g4 because it's more closer to the pawn, and you don't really want to risk playing something that you haven't calculated till the end. And so if king goes here, we go here, king goes here, we go here, these three squares. And if wait a minute, if king comes here, then we go here. So basically we keep repeating using these three squares, and that's how we can draw against the rook pawn with the knight. When the rook pawn is on the 7th rank, we need uh, some kind of setup. This knight has to be here, and it helps to create a barrier around the king. And the king also needs to be close enough, because usually we have the king close enough, but this is just a study. And so this is a barrier, because if the king comes closer we give a fork, and if it goes here then it is also fork, and a king can't come here because the knight controls it. And so this is the barrier basically. And now there's another barrier in which the king is here, the knight is here. The king can't show up here because we gave a fork. So this is what we need to know, these barriers. When the king is here, this is the barrier, and when the king is here, this is the barrier, and the knight has to be here if the king is here. This is one of the only ways to draw. And if you are trying to see why it is a draw, then the king has only these three squares, these three squares. If the king is here, this is the barrier, so he has to like come from here. So let's play. What we need to do is get a king closer, and then the king comes here, we go here, king gets here, we play here, king attacks the knight, we save a knight, then king gets closer, we go here, king tries to take the knight, but then we play this move, because if the king takes the knight, this is stalemate, and so that's why this position is a draw. And same goes for this position, this position. So in this case this is a barrier, so the king has to come from here all the way here, or he has to come all the way from here. So let's say king, we play this, he plays this, we play here, he goes here, we play here, he goes here, we play this, he comes here, and now we play this, he tries to attack, we play here, does this, and we play this. Again stalemate, he takes the knight. So yeah, so these two positions are the drawing positions. If this knight is here and the king is here, this is the barrier, and the knight is here, the king is here, this is the barrier. That's how you draw against the 7th rank rook pawn. Now in the rook pawn there is also this position, in which if you have the pawn, the knight should never be placed in here or here. In any scenario, for example, if the pawn is going here, he should never be placed here, and the pawn is going here, he should never be placed here, because the knight doesn't have any good way to capture the pawn once the pawn pushes. For example, if he goes here, he doesn't have any way of stopping the pawn, and so that's why if it's not a check and if it's not a fork, then you should never play the knight on this square on b7 or g2, and that's all. For example, if you, in case you didn't understand, from here, even if you are working as the same situation, you can't do anything, pushes and promotes. So this is the scenario where these two squares and these two squares are the dumb squares for the knight, and yeah, just be careful not to play your knight when it's a rook pawn. Thanks for watching.